Last year was the final time I hired undergraduate researchers for summer research. Thus ended a tradition I had kept since 2012. Some will ask why, and I will say I answered the questions I came here to ask and decided to focus on service for the rest of the career. It's not a lie, but neither is the whole truth. In 2022, I decided to make a video to explain the whole truth, so here we go. When I started at St. Martin's, my lab was a student study room with carpet and no air conditioning on the fourth floor of Old Main. The provost, when I published my first paper, was shocked that we had to pay for publication, that the paper didn't pay us. We didn't have a grants supervisor, we didn't have a grants compliance officer or grants office. St. Martin's has come very far since those early days where I was working here, but it's still not really a research institution. My shared lab space down in Ernstdorf is primarily for senior research projects. This is not a complaint. I knew what I was getting into, and I've really enjoyed my time here. But this is a teaching institute. And from the last week of August to the first week of May, I am a full-time teacher. I write exams, not grant proposals. I read student papers, not science and ecology papers. My Excel sheets are for grade keeping, not for graphing. I don't get paid to research unless I've managed to pull down a grant. Any course releases I would get to write a grant proposal or write manuscripts will come at the cost of teaching, and thus will come at the cost of students completing their degrees on time. The mission here is not research, but I do not need to publish for tenure, nor do I have to get grants to keep a job. So this is not a complaint. When I publish, I don't get paid a dime more, or I don't get special time off. I don't really get a reward. I just make a better resume. And that better resume is only for if I were to apply to another institute. So because I'm not planning on applying to another institute where I would do more research, I'm not going to publish papers. They cost money from our institute that we don't necessarily always have. I'm getting better at teaching. This is the 7th year that I've been nominated for Teacher of the Year. My office door is open and students are keeping my chairs warm. I showed up today to a party without telling the students I'd be there, and I had 4 students just dropping by and needing my help. That's good. It means I'm doing my job well. If students are asking me for help or just even asking my opinion, not all of these students were even in my classes. Last Tuesday, I was going to do some research. I opened up a document in Microsoft Word and I was going to edit my manuscript, and immediately a line forms in my office door, and I'm helping 4 students for the next hour. That's not a complaint. That's, if anything, that's going to be a bit of a boast. But writing takes time, and writing takes concentration. And I cannot do 3 hours of writing an introduction if those 3 hours are going to come in 15-minute intervals through an entire week. I have no intention of stopping students from getting my help. I have every intention of working with them and thus not doing as much writing. I have hired 2 students every summer except 2020. Ironically, that's when I was planning on taking a bit of a break. Just break got forced upon me. But if I don't have a grant, I can't pay my student researchers. To hire better students when I couldn't hook down a grant, I funded my own scholarship through the school with $2,400 of my own money. In recent years, I found it more difficult to get good students involved in research. I've been fortunate for who I've gotten, but I've definitely noticed the pool of good researchers is getting shallower. I submitted an NSF grant proposal 4 times. Each time got different reviewers, and they told me I was doing a good job, but only if you change a few things. Then I'd change those few things, and the next group would tell me to change different things. And one time I had too much DEI, the next time I didn't have enough DEI. And my friends and coworkers kept telling me getting a grant is as much luck as skill. That's not how I want to write grants. I want to spend my time from August to May teaching classes, helping students, and enjoying my family, not writing another entry into some big government slot machine. If getting a grant is luck dependent and needs to be repeated every few years, every time the grant money runs out, it's really only a matter of time before my luck runs out. And I don't see that as how science should work. The peer review process has another problem. Just last week, I got an invitation to review a paper about a rare cheese that needs conservation in Italy. I am not an expert in cheese besides consumption. I could, however, have just accepted the invite and then just accepted the paper. Or I could have accepted the invite and torn the paper apart with my non-expert opinion. The review process is supposed to be by experts. No one gets paid to review a paper. So when papers are reviewed, it's by volunteers, not by qualified. And I think any writer has good examples of a clearly unqualified reviewer just absolutely dumping on their paper, and probably has examples of someone who just accepted their paper with seemingly no changes. When you consider as well that artificial intelligence has been writing and publishing papers even through peer review, it's clear that peer review has issues, and it makes me feel like if I publish something, it has less meaning because I don't know if qualified people actually looked at it. My friends do not read my manuscripts, and to be honest, I don't really understand their work well enough to read theirs. Our circles in research are too small and too numerous. How many Americans can even name someone that writes in their field of expertise right now? But how many can name a church member or a teacher that changed their life? What really matters? What makes a difference to you? I was out in the field in North Kitsap County in 2022 when I decided to finish my project, 5-year project, and just sign off. This video is mostly not a complaint, and definitely not a complaint about my school, but it's an acknowledgement that research is just no longer for me. I would hazard a guess that many of your academic accomplices and friends are only doing research because they are required to pump out content, that whole publish or perish. I am happy that God has given me a career path where publish or perish is not true. And therefore, I'm done with research.